Have you ever wondered if your simple morning habits could be quietly putting your brain at risk? I used to think that rushing out of bed or skipping my morning water was harmless, just part of getting older. But honestly, there's a hidden danger many of us seniors don't talk about enough, and it's something I've experienced myself. I remember mornings when I felt dizzy or lightheaded, brushing it off as nothing. I didn't realize these small signs could be warnings from my body, signals of a much bigger issue, stroke risk. But here's the good news. Changing these habits doesn't have to be overwhelming or complicated. You don't need drastic lifestyle overhauls or expensive treatments. There are gentle, simple steps you can take that make a real difference in protecting your brain and keeping you sharp for years to come. I've learned these the hard way, and now I want to share them with you, so you don't have to face the same fears or uncertainties. In this video, I'll walk you through 7 surprising morning habits that many seniors unknowingly do every day. Habits that dramatically increase the risk of stroke. These aren't just warnings. They're easy fixes that can help you take control of your health quietly but powerfully. So, what's one small change you're willing to try tomorrow? Remember, you deserve to live well, with clarity and independence. Let's take this journey together. If you are not subscribed, subscribe and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. If you like the topic of this video, please comment 1. Now, let's begin. 1. Waking up and jumping out of bed too fast. There's something oddly hopeful about waking up in the morning, isn't there? The sunlight peeks in through the curtains, the birds start their chatter, and the world outside begins to stir. For many of us, the first moments of the day are filled with routine, a practiced rhythm built over years. Maybe you used to be the type to swing your legs over the bed and get moving the moment your eyes opened. Perhaps it was the habit of a busy life, work, family, appointments, always something on the to-do list. I know that routine well. For most of my life, I'd wake up and leap out of bed, convinced that moving quickly was a sign of energy, even strength. I told myself it was a way to seize the day. It didn't matter if I felt a little lightheaded, or if my heart pounded in my chest as I made my way to the kitchen. That's just aging, I'd think. No big deal. I even found it amusing sometimes, like playing a private game. How fast could I go from sleep to ready for the world? But then, one winter morning, something changed. I remember sitting up too quickly, the room spinning, colors blending in front of my eyes. My legs felt like jelly, and before I could steady myself, I was on the floor. I wasn't badly hurt, but the scar lingered long after the bruises faded. Suddenly, I started to pay attention to all those moments I'd brushed off. The dizzy spells, the sudden need to grab the dresser for support, that odd sensation of my brain not quite keeping up with my body. Maybe this sounds familiar. Maybe you felt it too, the urge to get moving right away, the subtle dizziness that whispers at the edges of your morning. Or perhaps you've convinced yourself that it's just another part of getting older, nothing to worry about. But the truth is, this habit of jumping out of bed too quickly can be far more dangerous than we realize, especially as we age. When we sleep, our bodies are in a relaxed, almost suspended state. Our blood pressure drops, our heartbeat slows, and our circulation changes. Our brains, though busy with dreams and repairs, are far from ready to handle the demands of a fully upright body. Imagine trying to start a car in the dead of winter without letting the engine warm up. The strain can be immense, and the risk, especially for those of us with a history of high blood pressure, heart disease, or circulation issues, grows with every hurried movement. Science backs this up. As we get older, the blood vessels in our bodies, especially the ones feeding our brains, become less flexible. They don't adjust to pressure changes as swiftly as they once did. When you leap out of bed, gravity pulls blood downward, and if your system can't keep up, your brain might not get enough oxygen for a moment or two. This is called orthostatic hypotension, and it's a common culprit behind those early morning dizzy spells and even dangerous falls. But the risks don't stop at falls. For seniors, Those sudden drops in blood pressure can also interrupt the flow of blood to the brain, increasing the risk of a mini-stroke, what doctors call a transient ischemic attack, or, in more severe cases, a full-blown stroke. It's sobering to realize that a simple habit, one we rarely think twice about, could have consequences this serious. So what can we do? The good news is, the solution is simple, gentle, and incredibly effective. It begins with a change in attitude, understanding that slowing down isn't a weakness, but a gift to yourself. When you wake up, instead of rushing to get out of bed, take a moment to breathe. Let your mind settle. Feel your body, the weight of your limbs, the beat of your heart. Stretch gently, wiggle your toes, and move your ankles in slow circles. Let your body adjust to being awake before you sit up. Once you do sit up, don't rush to stand. Plant your feet firmly on the floor. Take another deep breath. Maybe look out the window and watch the morning light filter in. When you're ready, stand slowly, holding on to something sturdy if you need to. Give yourself those extra 30 seconds or a minute. Your body and your brain will thank you for it. I started this practice after my fall, and I can honestly say it changed everything. The dizzy spells disappeared. I felt steadier, more present, and less anxious about the mornings. I realized, too, that this new routine wasn't just about preventing falls or strokes. It was about reclaiming my mornings. That gentle, mindful start set the tone for my entire day. I felt less rushed, less reactive, and more in tune with my needs. Sometimes, it's the smallest changes that make the biggest difference. The world can wait for a minute or two. Your health, your safety, and your peace of mind are worth far more than whatever task is calling you from the other room. And if you ever feel lightheaded when you wake, or if you notice new symptoms, weakness, numbness, slurred speech, or trouble seeing, don't ignore them. Listen to your body's whispers before they become shouts. Talk to your doctor if these moments happen more often. It's not complaining, it's caring for yourself, and you deserve that care. So tomorrow morning, when you wake, remember, there is strength in patience. A gentle start isn't just a luxury, it's a vital habit, a shield for your brain and your future. Take it from someone who learned the lesson the hard way. Respect the quiet moments, and let yourself ease into the day. The world will wait, and you'll be all the better for it. 2. Skipping water first thing in the morning. Of all the habits we build over a lifetime, drinking a glass of water when we first wake up might seem too small to matter. But for many seniors, this is one simple routine that gets overlooked and dismissed as unimportant compared to coffee, breakfast, or daily medications. Yet, every morning, our bodies quietly remind us how much they need water, and missing that signal can carry more risk than we realize. For most of my adult life, I didn't think twice about it. I'd wake up, shuffle straight to the kitchen, and put the coffee on. The rich aroma was the sign that my day had begun. I'd often go an hour or more before even thinking about drinking water, sipping coffee instead, and telling myself that was enough. If you're like me, maybe you felt that dryness in your mouth or that sluggish feeling in your head, but brushed it aside, figuring it would pass after a few sips of something warm or a bite to eat. It turns out, our brains are built from water. About 75% of what's inside your skull is pure H2O. While we sleep, we lose fluids just by breathing and through our skin. When you open your eyes in the morning, your body has gone 7 or 8 hours without a drop to drink. That's why, even before you notice you're thirsty, your blood is already a little thicker, your heart is working harder to push it around, and your brain is waiting for that first glass of water to truly wake up. I didn't understand this until my doctor explained it in simple terms. He said, "You wouldn't drive your car all day with an empty radiator, would you?" The comparison made me chuckle, but it stuck with me. Just as a car needs coolant to keep running smoothly, our bodies, and especially our brains, need water to do everything, from remembering your grandchild's birthday to keeping your balance when you stand up. The science is clear, too. Dehydration, especially in the morning, is a hidden trigger for strokes in older adults. Without enough water, your blood pressure can spike, and blood clots are more likely to form. For those of us who take medications for blood pressure and cholesterol, or even just a water pill for swollen ankles, skipping that morning glass of water makes everything work harder than it needs to. The risk multiplies if you've ever had a mini-stroke or a warning sign, like dizziness, blurry vision, or confusion after waking up. One friend of mine, Margaret, told me her story over tea. She had always been good about eating a healthy breakfast, but she noticed she felt lightheaded and a bit off balance most mornings. Her doctor asked her about water intake, and she realized she was barely drinking a few sips until lunch. Once she made the change, starting every day with a full glass of room-temperature water, her dizzy spells faded, and her thinking became noticeably sharper. She started calling it her morning brain fuel, and she's never looked back. Maybe you worry that drinking water first thing will just send you running to the bathroom. But that's a good sign. Your body is flushing out toxins, waking up your kidneys, and helping your entire system start fresh. If you take medications in the morning, water helps them work better and protects your stomach and kidneys, too. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. If you've always reached for coffee or tea the moment you get up, consider making water your very first sip instead. It doesn't have to be ice cold. Room temperature is easier on your body. I like to keep a glass by my bedside so it's waiting for me. Some people add a little lemon, just for a touch of flavor and vitamin C. The difference you'll feel can be remarkable. Within days, you may notice you feel more awake, steadier on your feet, and even in a better mood. Your memory and concentration can improve, and you might find that little aches and stiffness ease up, too. Water isn't just for quenching thirst. It's truly the foundation of a healthy morning and a strong defense against some of aging's biggest challenges. And remember, if you're taking any medications that make you urinate more, like diuretics, or if you have a history of strokes, dehydration is an even bigger risk. Make this habit non-negotiable. Just 1 glass before anything else. So, tomorrow morning, before the coffee pot gurgles or the news comes on, give your brain and your body the first gift of the day, a generous, slow glass of water. Toast to your health, your clarity, and all the precious moments you want to experience for years to come. Trust me, you'll never regret making water your very first step each morning. It's one of the easiest and most powerful changes you can make, starting right now. 3. Eating high-sodium breakfast foods. Breakfast is supposed to be the most important meal of the day, right? For years, that's what we were told, by our parents, by the TV, by those brightly colored boxes lining the grocery store shelves. It's how we started our mornings before rushing to work, sending the kids off to school, or, these days, enjoying a slower, quieter pace. Maybe you still keep to that routine, pouring yourself a bowl of cereal, maybe some toast, perhaps a little cheese omelet, or a slice of bacon, thinking it's a satisfying, simple way to start the day. But here's a little secret I wish someone had told me sooner. Not all breakfast foods are as friendly as they seem, especially if you're over 65 and hoping to keep your brain and heart strong for years to come. If you're like me, you probably never gave much thought to the amount of salt hiding in your breakfast. After all, how bad could a piece of toast or a sprinkle of cheese be? Yet, as it turns out, high-sodium breakfast foods are a sneaky culprit behind rising blood pressure and, ultimately, a much higher risk of stroke. It's not just the salt shaker you have to worry about. Sodium is everywhere in the American breakfast. Take a look at your pantry. Those convenient instant oatmeal packets, the ones promising a heart-healthy start? Many are packed with hidden sodium. Boxed cereals, even the ones labeled whole grain or low sugar, often sneak in more salt than a serving of potato chips. Store-bought breads, English muffins, and breakfast pastries, even the simple ones, are loaded with preservatives and sodium to keep them soft and fresh on the shelves. And let's not forget about those eggs and sausages, classic American staples. While eggs themselves are naturally low in sodium, the moment we pile on the cheese, toss in a handful of ham, or serve them alongside a couple of breakfast sausages, we've turned a healthy plate into a salt bomb. A typical breakfast sandwich from a local diner, with egg, cheese, and sausage on a biscuit, can pack well over half of your daily sodium allowance, before you've even had your morning coffee. I'll admit it, I used to think, well, what's the harm? I've always eaten like this, and I feel fine. But what I didn't realize was that, over time, all that sodium was quietly working against me. Blood pressure crept up, little by little. I started feeling a bit more tired in the afternoons, and got headaches I used to blame on not sleeping well. My doctor gently explained that high sodium isn't just about the heart, it's about those tiny, delicate blood vessels in the brain, the ones most vulnerable as we age. When you eat a salty breakfast, your blood pressure spikes just as your body is waking up, putting extra stress on your arteries. If you already have hypertension or even pre-hypertension, that morning spike can be enough to tip the scales toward a stroke. It's a tough truth, but one I've seen in my circle of friends. My neighbor Tom always loved a hearty breakfast. Every morning, he'd fry up a few slices of bacon, scramble some eggs with cheddar, and butter his toast. He'd laugh off any concerns. After all, he walked every day, felt strong, and took his meds on time. But last winter, Tom suffered a mild stroke. He recovered, thank goodness, but the scare changed his outlook. His doctor helped him realize that his morning routine, comforting as it was, had quietly stacked the odds against him. After hearing Tom's story and talking with my doctor, I started paying closer attention. I checked the nutrition labels on my favorite cereals. Some had over 300 milligrams of sodium per serving, more than I'd expect in a bag of chips. That healthy oatmeal packet? Nearly 200 milligrams, and that's before I added any toppings. Even my so-called whole grain bread had a surprising amount. But here's the good news. Small changes make a big difference. Instead of processed cereals, I started making plain, old-fashioned oats and flavoring them myself with fruit and a touch of cinnamon. Fresh eggs with spinach and a sprinkle of pepper became my go-to, sometimes with a slice of unsalted avocado toast. I learned to look for bread labeled low sodium, or better yet, picked up a fresh loaf from the local bakery where the ingredients are simple. When I craved sausage, I switched to turkey or chicken versions marked reduced sodium, or saved them for a special Sunday treat. It wasn't just about cutting salt, though. I realized that adding more fresh fruits and vegetables in the morning naturally filled me up, so I didn't miss the old habits. Sliced strawberries, a banana, or a handful of blueberries add color and sweetness. No extra salt is required. The best part? Within a couple of weeks, my blood pressure readings started to come down. I felt more alert in the mornings, had fewer headaches, and even noticed my rings fit a little looser as water retention eased. Changing breakfast habits isn't always easy, especially when we're attached to flavors we've loved for decades. I had to get used to a new kind of breakfast, and yes, sometimes it felt like I was giving up a small pleasure. But the payoff was real. More energy, better numbers at my checkups, and a sense of control over my health. It's not about denying yourself. It's about choosing foods that treat your brain and heart with the respect they deserve. Maybe you see yourself in these stories. Maybe you're ready to make a change but don't know where to start. That's okay. Begin with one meal, just tomorrow morning. Swap out the instant oatmeal for rolled oats, skip the cheese on your eggs, or try fruit instead of a pastry. Your taste buds will adjust, and your body will thank you. Remember, breakfast should give you a fresh start, not set you up for trouble down the road. By being mindful of the hidden sodium in your morning favorites, you're taking a powerful step to protect your brain and enjoy many more bright mornings ahead. You deserve that. 4. Drinking too much coffee on an empty stomach. For so many of us, the day simply doesn't begin without coffee. It's a ritual, a comforting one, filled with the familiar clink of the mug, the deep aroma filling the kitchen, and maybe even the gentle chatter on the morning news. We clutch that first cup as if it holds the power to wake our bodies and minds from the fog of sleep. Over the years, I've come to treasure those quiet, coffee-filled moments. They remind me of long ago mornings when the house was bustling and I needed a jolt of energy just to keep up. But here's a small confession. I used to drink coffee before I did anything else. The moment my feet hit the floor, I'd be in the kitchen, pouring myself a steaming cup, often before a single bite of food or a glass of water. And I'm hardly alone. So many of my friends, neighbors, and loved ones do the same. It feels harmless, even necessary, especially as we get older and sleep sometimes isn't as deep or restful as we'd like. It wasn't until a gentle warning from my doctor that I started to wonder, could my beloved morning coffee be working against me? The answer, as I found out, is yes, especially if you're over 65, and especially if you're drinking more than 1 cup on an empty stomach. Let's talk honestly about what happens in those first minutes of the day. Your body is just waking up. Your stomach has been empty for hours, your blood sugar is low, and your heart is slowly picking up its pace. When you pour coffee into your empty stomach, you're giving your body a powerful dose of caffeine and acidity all at once. For younger folks, the body can handle the shock better, but as we age, our systems become more sensitive. I remember one morning not so long ago, early spring, the windows just beginning to thaw from a cold Michigan winter. I poured my coffee, sat in my favorite chair by the window, and took a few slow sips. Within minutes, my heart started to race. I felt jittery, slightly anxious, and a little queasy. My hands trembled as I reached for my crossword puzzle. For a moment, I wondered if I was having a blood sugar drop, or maybe even a heart problem. As it turns out, what I experienced is incredibly common. Drinking coffee, especially more than 1 cup before eating, causes your adrenaline to spike. Your heart beats faster, your blood pressure jumps, and your blood vessels constrict. For someone who already deals with high blood pressure or an irregular heartbeat, this can be dangerous. Even for those in otherwise good health, this sudden surge puts unnecessary strain on your brain and heart. I started paying attention to how I felt when I drank coffee before breakfast, compared to how I felt when I waited until after I'd had some food. The difference was night and day. On an empty stomach, I'd get shaky and irritable, and sometimes a wave of acid would burn its way up my chest. If I added a second cup before breakfast, the effects were even worse. Heart pounding, hands clammy, and a fog that wouldn't lift until lunch. But on the mornings when I took the time to eat a banana, a slice of toast, or a little oatmeal before that first cup, the coffee felt like a gentle nudge instead of a punch. My friend Joyce, she's 72 and sharp as a tack, used to drink 3 cups of black coffee before she'd even think about breakfast. She'd tell me, "It's my secret weapon. Gets me going." But she also struggled with anxiety, heart palpitations, and a fluttering feeling in her chest that made her uneasy. Her doctor finally convinced her to eat a small meal first. Within weeks, her morning jitters were gone, her mood improved, and she even slept better at night. What I've learned is that coffee isn't the enemy, and we don't need to give up the pleasure of that warm cup in the morning. But the timing and the amount matter more than we realize. Your body and brain, especially after 65, need a softer start. They need hydration, plain water first and foremost, to gently wake up your system. They need real fuel, even something as simple as a piece of fruit or a handful of nuts, to keep blood sugar steady. And then, once you've eaten, let that cup of coffee be a reward instead of a shock. These days, I've made a new ritual. I drink a glass of water while my coffee brews. I'll have a bit of yogurt, maybe a slice of toast or some berries. Then, with breakfast finished, I settle in for my coffee, just 1 cup enjoyed slowly. The difference is remarkable. My hands are steady, my mind is clear, and my body feels ready for the day ahead. And here's something you might not expect. Cutting back on coffee or shifting it to after breakfast doesn't mean losing energy. If anything, I feel more balanced and alert, without the crash or jitteriness that used to follow. I savor my mornings now instead of rushing through them on caffeine fumes. If you're reading this and thinking, "But I need my coffee, I can't change now," I understand. It's not about giving up something you love. It's about giving your body a fair chance to greet the day in the gentlest way possible. Try starting tomorrow with a glass of water and a small breakfast. Then enjoy your coffee after. Notice how you feel, both right away and over the next few weeks. Sometimes, the smallest changes make the biggest difference. Our bodies speak in whispers. Listen to yours. Your mornings can be calm, steady, and bright, no matter your age. Give yourself that gift. You've earned it. 5. Ignoring morning dizziness or weakness. There's a funny thing about getting older. Sometimes the little things that used to come and go without a second thought start to feel a bit more alarming. Take, for instance, those odd moments of dizziness or weakness in the morning. Maybe you've had them yourself, those brief spells when you stand up and the room tilts, or your knees buckle just for a second, or you feel an unexpected wave of fatigue before you've even made it to the bathroom. Most of us shrug it off, blaming it on a bad night's sleep, or the way we tossed and turned, or maybe just one of those things that comes with aging. For years, I did exactly that. I'd roll out of bed, stand up too quickly, and feel the world sway. Sometimes my arms felt heavy, or my words came out a little slurred. It was so easy to chalk it up to getting older, being tired, or not having had my coffee yet. I'd sit for a moment, wait for it to pass, and then push forward into my day, never mentioning it to anyone. Not my doctor, not even my family. It felt silly, somehow, to make a fuss over a few seconds of lightheadedness. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 2 below to let me know that you are still here with me. But the truth, which took me far too long to learn, is that these subtle morning symptoms are more than just harmless quirks of age. They can be your body's quiet way of waving a red flag, a warning that something isn't quite right with your circulation, your blood pressure, or even your brain. The body is a master of sending early signals. The trouble is, most of us are used to ignoring them, or we're too busy to slow down and listen. One morning, not long ago, I found myself standing in the kitchen with the sun streaming through the window, holding onto the counter for dear life. My head spun, my legs felt like jelly, and I could barely focus my eyes. It lasted only a minute, but it scared me in a way I hadn't felt since I was a child. My mind raced through all the usual excuses. Maybe I was dehydrated, maybe my sugar was low, maybe I'd stood up too fast. But deep down, I knew this wasn't normal. I sat down, drank some water, and waited for the world to right itself. When I felt steadier, I promised myself I'd bring it up at my next checkup. I wasn't alone. My friend Helen, a retired teacher, shared a similar story over lunch. She told me how she'd woken up one morning and, as she made her way to the bathroom, her arm felt weak and her mouth tingled oddly. She shrugged it off, thinking it would go away. Later, her doctor told her those fleeting symptoms might have been a mini-stroke, a transient ischemic attack, TIA, a sort of warning shot that a more serious stroke could be coming. Helen was lucky. Her doctor started her on a prevention plan, and she's been diligent ever since about watching for those subtle clues her body sends. It's easy to dismiss these things. Maybe we don't want to seem dramatic, or we worry about being a bother. But the reality is that ignoring morning dizziness or weakness can be dangerous, especially as we age. Our brains are incredibly sensitive to changes in blood flow and oxygen. Overnight, our blood pressure can dip, and as we stand up, it may not rebound as quickly as it used to. Arteries stiffen with age, and circulation can slow, leaving the brain momentarily deprived of what it needs. For those of us already living with high blood pressure, diabetes, or a history of heart disease, those little off feelings are even more important to pay attention to. There's a powerful sense of peace in learning to respect your body's whispers instead of waiting for it to scream. That means tracking when you feel dizzy or weak, making a note of what you are doing, and being honest with your doctor about these changes, even if they seem small. If you ever experience sudden weakness in one arm or leg, trouble speaking, a drooping face, or vision changes, don't wait. Call for help. Every second counts when it comes to strokes and mini-strokes, and quick action can save brain cells and lives. Over time, I learned some gentle ways to help my body ease into the day. I keep a glass of water by the bed and drink it before I get up. I take my time, sitting for a few minutes before standing. I stretch gently, giving my blood pressure time to adjust. And I stopped treating my symptoms as just aging. I started treating them as the valuable messages they are. Changing my attitude toward morning dizziness and weakness didn't just keep me safer. It made me more connected to my body. I became more in tune with my needs, more willing to ask for help, and more appreciative of the wisdom that comes from experience. These days, I share what I've learned with friends and family, encouraging them to listen closely to their bodies. So if you've ever felt that little morning wobble, that wave of weakness, or that strange numbness, don't brush it aside. You deserve to feel strong and steady every day, and your body deserves to be heard. Make a promise to yourself. Next time you feel something unusual, pause, pay attention, and let someone know. You might just be catching something early, something that could make all the difference for you and the people who love you. Every sunrise brings another chance to care for yourself with patience and respect. Let those gentle morning messages guide you to a healthier, safer tomorrow. 6. Skipping medications or taking them incorrectly. Taking medications as prescribed is one of the most important things we can do to protect our health as we get older. Yet, many seniors struggle silently with managing their pills every day. Whether it's forgetting to take a dose, accidentally doubling up, or mixing medications in the wrong order, skipping medications or taking them incorrectly is a surprisingly common issue, and one that can seriously increase your risk of stroke. I've heard stories from so many friends and neighbors that sound familiar. There's Mary, who keeps all her pills in a little box but sometimes feels overwhelmed and confused by which ones to take in the morning versus the evening. Or George, who occasionally forgets his blood pressure medication when he's traveling or visiting family. Then there's Joan, who didn't realize that taking her blood thinner with coffee instead of water was affecting how well it worked. These small missteps might seem harmless, but they quietly chip away at the protection these medicines are meant to provide. Medications like blood pressure drugs, blood thinners, and cholesterol-lowering pills are often time-sensitive. They work best when taken consistently, at the right times, and with the right foods or liquids. Skipping doses or taking them irregularly can cause your blood pressure to spike or plummet unexpectedly. This kind of fluctuation stresses your heart and brain, increasing the chance of clots, bleeding, or stroke. Worse, doubling up on forgotten doses can lead to dangerous bleeding or dangerously low blood pressure. Managing multiple medications is a challenge, especially when you consider that many seniors take 5 or more pills daily. Side effects, confusing instructions, and changes to prescriptions can all add to the difficulty. It's no wonder that mistakes happen. I remember when I first started managing my medications after years of my spouse handling them. The sheer number of pills was intimidating. I once accidentally skipped my morning dose for 2 days in a row because I thought I'd taken it the night before. It wasn't until I had a dizzy spell that I realized something was wrong. After that scare, I committed to a better system. Using a pill organizer became my lifesaver, a simple box divided by days and times of day. Setting alarms on my phone reminds me when it's time to take each medication. And most importantly, I keep an updated list of all my medicines and dosages, which I review regularly with my doctor and pharmacist. Don't hesitate to ask for help. There's no shame in admitting that keeping track can be tricky. It's also crucial to follow instructions about how to take medications. Some need to be taken with food, others on an empty stomach. Some don't mix well with certain drinks, like coffee or grapefruit juice. Taking pills with the wrong beverage can affect how well the medication works or increase side effects. Your pharmacist is a valuable resource. Never hesitate to ask questions, no matter how small they seem. Another common mistake I've seen is self-adjusting doses without consulting a healthcare professional. Sometimes when people feel better, they stop taking their meds or reduce the dose on their own. Other times, they take extra pills hoping to catch up or feel stronger. Both can be dangerous. The right dose is a delicate balance set by your doctor based on your health status. Changing it without guidance puts you at risk. Taking medications correctly is more than a daily chore. It's a critical part of protecting your health and independence. When medications are managed well, they become your shield against strokes and other serious conditions. When they're not, the risks grow quietly in the background. If you ever feel overwhelmed, confused, or worried about your medication routine, reach out. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist. They can help simplify your regimen, adjust medications if needed, and provide tools or advice tailored to your situation. Remember, your medication is your daily ally. Treat it with respect, just like you would lock your door before leaving the house or wear a seatbelt when driving. Don't let missed doses or mistakes leave your brain and heart unprotected. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 3 below to let me know that you are still here with me. By taking charge of your medications, you're not just following orders, you're actively choosing to protect your future. And that's something worth every effort. 7. Holding in urine for too long after waking. It might seem like a small thing, something harmless you do without thinking. But holding in your urine for too long after waking up can quietly do serious damage to your health, especially if you're over 65. For many of us, mornings are a rush. Maybe we linger in bed scrolling on our phones or get caught up with morning chores before we finally get around to going to the bathroom. But delaying that first bathroom visit is more than just an inconvenience. It can raise your risk of stroke and put extra strain on your heart and brain. When you hold in your urine, your bladder fills beyond its comfortable limit. This sends signals to your body to release stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, hormones that raise your blood pressure and constrict your blood vessels. For seniors, especially those with stiff or narrowed arteries, this sudden spike in blood pressure first thing in the morning can be dangerous. It's no coincidence that studies have linked early morning blood pressure surges to higher rates of stroke and heart problems in older adults. I remember a time when I'd lie in bed for a while after waking, telling myself I'd get up in a moment. Maybe after one more email, one more news story, or just a few more minutes of quiet. My bladder would quietly fill, but I didn't think much of it. It felt like just a minor delay, no big deal. But one morning, I noticed my heart pounding harder than usual and a tightness in my chest that I hadn't felt before. It was frightening. When I talked to my doctor, she explained that holding in urine can cause the body to release those stress hormones, pushing blood pressure higher and making the heart work overtime. It was a wake-up call. I realized I'd been treating my body like an inconvenience instead of listening to its signals. Since then, I've made it a rule to answer nature's call as soon as it comes. No more delays. It's a simple habit, but one that's powerful enough to protect my heart and brain. This isn't just about bladder health either. When blood vessels narrow and blood pressure spikes, the risk of blood clots increases, which can lead to strokes. Holding urine too long also puts stress on the kidneys and urinary tract, increasing the risk of infections or other complications that can further affect overall health. My friend George shared a similar experience. He used to think he could hold it through long morning meetings or car rides, ignoring the discomfort. After a mild stroke last year, his doctor told him that his bladder habits might have been part of the problem. Now, George is the first one in line when nature calls. No excuses. Changing this habit might seem minor, but it's a perfect example of how small actions have big consequences, especially as we age. Giving yourself permission to listen to your body's signals and act on them right away is a form of self-respect and care. If you find yourself delaying bathroom visits after waking, try to be mindful tomorrow morning. Notice when the urge comes and make it a priority to go right away. Keep your water close and your bathroom easy to access. These small changes can lower your morning blood pressure spikes and reduce strain on your heart and brain. You deserve mornings that start with calm, not stress. You deserve to honor your body's messages and protect your health. So the next time you feel that first urge, don't wait. Respond with kindness to yourself. Your heart and brain will thank you for it. Every morning is a new chance to care for yourself gently and wisely. Let that simple bathroom break be the first step to a healthier day. As we come to the end of this journey together, I want you to take a moment and think about what you've heard today. These 7 simple morning habits, the way we get out of bed, what we drink and eat, how we listen to our body signals, and even how we manage our medications, might seem small on their own. But when they add up, they can quietly change the course of your health, especially your brain and heart. The good news is that you have the power to change these habits, and with those changes, protect yourself from the risk of stroke. I know it's not always easy to break old routines, especially ones that have been part of your life for decades. I've been there myself. But remember, every small step you take toward better habits is a gift to your future self. It's a promise that you're choosing clarity, strength, and independence. Your mornings can be calm, steady, and full of vitality, no matter your age. If you've learned something valuable today, I encourage you to share it with someone you care about, because knowledge is a powerful tool that can save lives. And if you ever feel unsure or overwhelmed, reach out to your healthcare providers. They are your partners on this path. You deserve to live well, with peace of mind and health that lets you enjoy every moment. Take these lessons to heart, and let your mornings shape a brighter, safer future. Your brain and body will thank you.